Hi, I'm Victoria, the host of Listen Up Homebuyers, and I'm so happy to have with me today Kenton Sumpter. He's an entomologist with the Maryland Department of Agriculture, Division of Plant Protection and Weed Management. And Kenton coordinates the spotted Lanternfly Program. Kenton, thank you so much for joining me, and I really appreciate you taking time out of your busy schedule.
Hey, thanks for having me. Always like talking about Lanternfly.
So I'm going to jump right in and just say, what is the spotted lanternfly and why should we care?
So spotted lanternfly is a little leafhopper, or rather kind of a big leafhopper. It comes from regions of Southeast Asia. It's invasive in places like Vietnam, Japan, and Korea. And in about 2014, it made its way over to the United States. They found it in Pennsylvania first, and from there it spread just along roads and rails. It's encompassed the entire Mid-Atlantic region and has even gone out as far as Michigan, I think now, as its furthest westward expansion. And it is a threat because it has kind of a two-pronged attack. It is an agricultural pest, so it will attack nurseries, orchards, and vineyards. We're finding vineyards are the primary target. We've not really received many complaints of nurseries or orchards losing product to lanternfly, although they do have them on site. But vineyards get attacked. The vines will get fed
Mm,
upon, and the
mm,
lanternflies actually will eat the sap from the vines and will reduce the grape yield, can damage the winter hardiness of vines. And in some instances in Pennsylvania, they've actually been accused of killing vines. They're already kind of old, kind of unhealthy, but the lanternfly had been accused of destroying several vines. When it comes to the kind of other threat that they pose, it is a public nuisance. As people in especially the eastern part of the state will realize, and in Hagerstown too, in Western Maryland, living around lanternfly is a huge pain in the butt. There are thousands and thousands of them, especially when you get close to the Susquehanna River, or along the rail tracks in Pennsylvania. I'm sorry, in Hagerstown.
yeah.
And there's just untold bajillions of them, and they'll land on you. They'll
Yep.
fly inside the house. They'll get in your vehicle, and they're a big insect. They can really be kind of disturbing and annoying to have land on you.
Hmm.
They also excrete a lot of honeydew, which is just kind of a product of feeding. They'll eat on trees, they'll eat on vines, they'll eat all that kind of stuff, and they just excrete copious amounts of honeydew as they're
Oh,
digesting that sap. And it can just be gross to have
yeah.
sap,
Yeah.
raining down on you. People get, a warm rain on them from the honeydew.
Right.
It can cause mold to grow, which people
Oh,
really hate. It'll cover the undergrowth. It can kill green leaves, like photosynthetic material.
mm.
The sooty mold can kill it. It can get on homes or vehicles, and then you've got this mold you have to try and get off, and it grows pretty fast. Sooty molds are naturally occurring in the environment, and it's just eating the sugar that the bugs are producing. So it's not like it's anything the bugs are bringing with them.
Yeah.
It's just always there. You'll see the same thing with like, after it rains, you'll see little slime molds pop up in your grass or something.
Right.
There's just more food available for them. So it's the
Oh,
same deal with this stuff. As far as we know, sooty mold is not a threat to humans. It's not going to be a respiratory allergen or anything like that.
hmm.
But I always do recommend people, like, if you get into it, like, wash your hands.
Yeah.
Don't go outside and handle outdoor material and then come inside and eat
Yeah.
lunch or something. Like, just wash your hands.
Yeah.
But it's not like black mold in your bathroom. It's not going to
Got
go
it.
and give you an infection or
Got it.
something.
Got it. So I contacted you because I was showing a property, a home, beautiful home on acres and acres of land in Churchville, Maryland, which is north of Baltimore. Um, and I was there just loving the view. It was quiet and standing on the front porch, and these large insects start landing on my
Mhm.
arm. And in general, I'm not scared of insects, but I was definitely alarmed by their size and their color. Never seen them before. And so, and they were hanging on my clothes, which was really strange. They weren't scared
Mhm.
when I was kind of trying to shake them off. So, of course, I got a few of them on the porch, took some pictures, looked it up, and found out what they were and realized they had covered the entire yard of this beautiful home. So, my question is to you, what do we do about this? When we see them, what do you recommend we do?
So what you were looking at is kind of unique. Typically, lanternfly aren't in, well, I shouldn't say typically. Throughout most of the summer, lanternfly don't have that behavior that you're talking about. Right now, they're getting into a season where they are swarming and looking for
Ah,
mates, and they wind up in places that you typically wouldn't find them. So you're saying like a Leyland cypress or
yeah.
even like the grass of a yard.
Or my
That's really
shirt.
weird. Yeah, sure, it's less so. They seem to find people, but that is uncharacteristic of them throughout most of their life cycle until you hit about
Mhm.
October,
Ah,
and
okay.
then you get the swarming behavior, and this is the last month. It's do or die for them. They're looking to lay their eggs, and they're just
Ugh,
going everywhere. And this is typically when we get most of our reports from the
right.
public, is in September and October. And lanternfly are going to be on lawns and on houses and on plants they're not typically found on. But normally they'll be more located on like tree of heaven, which is an invasive tree that they love. It's their primary host. They've also got like wild grapevines or silver maples or things like that, where you'll more reliably find them during the year. But yeah, what you're seeing is lanternfly swarming. They're all looking for a place to find love and lay eggs. And as far as what's to be done about them, it is tough. The state does not have the capability of doing a residential spray program. There's
Mhm.
just there's 6 million people that live in Maryland, and we've got 5 people on our staff to go perform surveys and treatments. So what we really want to invest in is a narrow range of businesses that do a lot of transportation. So we're trying to get to those, get them signed on with legal documents that we can actually go out there and perform sprays and do insecticide treatments.
Mhm.
But for the residents of Maryland at large, what we're looking at really is for people to mostly maintain sanitary vehicles, to try and not make the problem worse by accidentally moving lanternfly to a new place,
Ah,
and to just make sure their vehicles, trailers, construction materials don't have lanternfly on them when they drive,
okay.
especially if
So
they're in an area that's infested.
how do you because I did that. I looked around my car because after I saw what it was, I thought, "Oh my god, I don't want to bring it into Montgomery County on my
Mhm.
car." And so I looked around. There were a few on the tires, but I realized, I looked under the car. I didn't see any. Um, but that would be tricky.
Yeah.
So 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 tell me how someone would go about that, just doing a visual inspection of
That would
their
be
car
it.
before they
Yeah,
move on.
it's a good faith effort. We
Mhm.
understand that people are going to get dive bombed by lanternfly.
Yeah.
It's present in a lot of the state too, so it's not like it isn't moving around. No one's going to be held individually liable for moving lanternfly.
Mhm.
Um, we're not a police unit that are going to come out and cite people for doing that.
Mhm.
The larger interest with businesses, if they're found to be shipping nationally or internationally and moving lanternfly around and they're regular violators of our state quarantines, and that's something more so where a civil penalty might be levied to try and get people to go and play ball a little bit. But
Mhm.
Maryland residents don't need to be worried that they're going to be cited for having a car with a lanternfly on it.
Sure.
It's a good faith attempt to get people to look at their vehicles, knock the bugs off. Ideally, no one's clinging onto the wheel wells or underneath the vehicle, and you can't see them. But so long as people are trying, it will slow the spread as
Yeah.
opposed to entirely stopping it.
Okay.
There is no stopping the infestation. They're at an
Mm,
outbreak level right now. There's a lot of tree of heaven. There's a lot of food. The environment is good for them. They like it.
yeah.
If we have a nice cold winter, that would be really outstanding to really freeze them. But if it's nice and warm, they love it. They're actually a subtropical pest. So
Okay.
if folks can keep their eyes peeled, kill lanternfly if it's in your way. Obviously
Mhm.
destroying them is always good. But if they're in your home, smash them, get rid of them. If
Right.
you really have to, you really want to start spraying or something like that.
Mhm.
I always caution people, be judicious. Don't hose off your entire lawn to kill lanternfly. Don't spray chemicals over every ornamental
Yeah.
tree. You'll wind up killing all the good bugs too, just trying
Yeah,
to get rid of
right.
lanternfly. And
Right.
there's always going to be more lanternfly. You can't kill
Mhm.
them all because they're just going to come in from off-site, some other property where someone's not maintaining their tree of heaven. They've not cut it down or
Mhm.
anything,
Mhm.
or they just have a concentration of lanternfly. And we get people that will, take maples in their backyards and just, do a whole full foliar drench of insecticide.
Got it.
And you're catching all the predators that are there, all the good bugs,
Yeah.
butterflies. You've got like with systemic insecticides, you'll have those insecticides find their way into like the seeds and flowers of
Oh,
flowering
yeah.
plants. So there's a huge environmental impact to doing
Yeah.
heavy chemical treatments.
Yeah.
We narrow ourselves very strongly. We only go after like tree of heaven, and that's pretty much it.
Okay.
We don't do big sprays of native tree species just for that reason, that we're not trying to that cause an ecological disaster trying to,
Trying
kill
to get
one
rid of
bug.
the bug, right?
Yeah.
What about I did some reading. What about adding praying mantis to your backyard? Does that help?
Potentially, they're a generalist predator. So if you could
Hmm.
cultivate praying mantis, then yeah, I assume we've got pictures of them hunting. I have no idea to what degree they actually manage a population, but
Yeah,
they'll hunt. They definitely
yeah,
will.
yeah. They do. Yeah.
The wheel bugs, the big bugs with the spines on their backs. Sometimes people call them assassin bugs,
Oh, right,
but
right.
they'll eat lanternflies, garden spiders. So that's reliable because
Good.
unfortunately there's a couple different praying mantids in North America, and a lot of them are invasive. So if people are trying to cultivate praying mantis, they really want to be cultivating Carolina mantises and
Okay.
not Chinese mantises. So if you're
Okay.
getting the big green praying mantis, that's a Chinese mantis, and that's
Okay.
gonna that's an invasive species.
That's another problem.
Yeah, so it's better if
Okay.
you can somehow get Carolina mantises. Those are the
All
ones
right.
that are actually native to the Eastern seashore, Eastern
Okay.
seaboard.
And
But
we will have pictures of all of what we've shared on the podcast, so people can have a good idea. The funny thing about the spotted lanternfly is that I'm a gardener and I'm in my yard all the time, and I immediately had, like, an alarm go off in my head, like, this is not
mm,
right. So you will notice this bug. It's about the ones I saw were like this big, and they for lack of a better term, they're friendlier than most, most
yeah.
insects. Most of the time, if something gets on you, they don't want to be there. But these guys, they definitely were grouping around on my shirt.
Mhm. Yeah, they're not a true social insect, but they'll be little parties. A colleague of mine was making fun of them the other day. We were spraying them, so I guess, it was to their detriment. But they feed in big groups and they seem to congregate in big groups. They
Ah.
just all stay together. And they're mating right now, but even when they're small, you'll find them all just in the same spot.
Hmm.
So yeah, they don't build hives or build nests or things like that, but they seem to like being around each other, and
Yeah.
they don't have a lot of fear. They'll sit there on your shoulder until you like get rid of them.
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
yeah, they're very big right now. The females are what we call gravid, so they're full of eggs after they've mated, and they're huge. They've got these big yellow flanks on them,
Right.
and they're about twice the size of the males. So yeah, now this time of year, if they land on you, it's a really big insect.
Yeah. Yeah. And where do they actually live? I mean, you said they don't have nests, so where is it that they're hanging out?
They're a landscape level pest, so they
Mm.
are in most trees. They eat trees particularly they enjoy, but they'll eat vines, ornamental plants, even garden plants.
Hmm.
They've got something between 70 and 100 species of plant that they'll eat that have been documented, and researchers are adding more food
Oh
plants all the
man,
time. So they're a
crazy.
very generalist pest. They'll eat
Yeah.
anything.
Yeah.
They'll live just in the environment, and that's why we can't spray for them reliably because we would
Hmm.
have to just do like,
Right.
blanket carpet bomb sprays to go and
Right.
actually um, clear an area out of lanternfly.
Hmm.
So people will experience that where they might, spray bushes around their house, but the lanternfly from the oak trees a property over are still flying over and landing. And yeah, they are truly a landscape level pest.
Okay, so let's recap. Um, Tell me, when I see them, list for me exactly what I should do.
So when you see them, if you are in Harford or Cecil counties, you don't have to do this. For anywhere else, we are looking for people to report where they find them. It helps us track the infestation
Right.
and kind of gives us an idea of how bad lanternfly is during the year. Unfortunately, in Cecil and Harford, and actually I should add Hagerstown to that as well, the infestations are so thorough and so
Mm.
complete that there's really no need to report. But if people see it, I'm not going to stop someone. Go ahead and report lanternfly. Let us
Mhm.
know.
Mhm.
We have a website. You could search us is the easiest way. Search
Mhm.
MDA Spotted Lanternfly or
Okay.
Maryland Department of Agriculture Spotted Lanternfly, and we should be the first ones to come back in a Google search result. And on our website, we have a link to a survey where you can submit sighting reports for lanternfly that you might find anywhere in the state. And there's a
Okay.
couple of different informational fields to go and make your information as accurate as possible. And if we need to, we can get back in touch. And typically, if I want to get back in touch with somebody, it's because they found lanternfly outside of our state quarantine in a new
Mm.
location where we might
Mm.
need to go and add a county to the list of infested counties. So that's
Mm.
really the reason I tend to call back the fastest. After that, it's a matter of organizing treatments around transportation businesses or vineyards. Sometimes we can get to and start doing treatments around those.
Sure, sure. And
But
again, you've pointed out that there are only 5 of you in the
yeah, there's
in
only
the
so
depart
many. And answering the
Yeah.
phones, there's like 2 of us. If you see it, report it online, destroy it, and that's it, honestly.
Mhm,
Just see them, kill them, make sure your vehicles are sanitary so you're not accidentally transporting it to a new location,
mhm.
and that's pretty much it. If you have management questions, or really any concern, people can go to our website. They can go and reply to our email. It is don'tbug.md@maryland.gov. And
Mhm.
that's our catch-all website for anybody with any questions about lanternfly, quarantines, permits, just anything. And that's a better venue for getting questions answered. One last thing. So for businesses in Maryland that are moving regulated articles, which is really just about anything, a regulated article is anything a lanternfly can sit on. But
Okay.
if you're moving regulated articles from or within a quarantined area, you have to have a permit. And the permitting process is free. You can,
Mhm.
again, go to our website. There's a link that says Spotted Lanternfly permits for businesses.
Okay.
It's provided by Penn State University. It's about 2 hours long. It's a training session and video, and then a test at the end. Only a single business representative needs to take that test, and then we will issue a permit to the business. And then it's assumed that they will essentially train the trainer. And then that business will update its employees about lanternfly. They'll look for it, they'll kill it when they find it, they'll make shipments don't have lanternfly on it, and they'll understand the verbiage of the quarantine order. And that's really the important thing, is we want businesses participating so we're
Yeah.
not accidentally spreading it even further.
Yeah.
And that's the final point that I'd like to make.
Well, first, I want to thank you so much for the work that you do. I really appreciate it. It's serious. It's serious work, and you seem to have such a great attitude about it. I see you smiling, talking about these bugs.
Yeah.
I wasn't sure how you would be on this podcast because they are a big problem. But I like your attitude. You're
Yeah, I
going
mean, we try and stay upbeat. We've got a fun crew that work out in the field, and I
great.
tend to be a bit more office desk. Just, I guess, is the benefit of, or curse of being a little bit higher placed, is you don't get
Yeah.
to go out in the field so much.
Right.
But we still get out a lot, and it's nice. I spent all yesterday out in Allegheny County in Cumberland
Nice.
doing treatments,
Nice.
and it was very pleasant. So I can't hate it. It's not the worst, but
Yeah.
yeah, it is a big problem, and
Mhm.
we're going to have to weather the storm. I guess that's one final thing to impart to folks too, is that we are going to have to coexist beside lanternfly. It's not going away. We can't kill it all. And short of a little ice age to freeze all these guys over the winter, they're going to be back next year, and they're going to be in
Mm.
new places. So it's a little doom and gloom, I guess, but
Yeah.
it's livable
Well, as I said, I applaud your attitude. It's great.
for sure.
Kenton Sumpter, entomologist with the Maryland Department of Agriculture, Division of Plant Protection and Weed Management. And Kenton is a coordinator for the spotted lanternfly. Kenton, thank you so much for joining me on Listen Up Homebuyers. It has been a real pleasure.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me.